so blessed to do the work that I do, because every client that comes in my door heals in some way, shape, or form, in the way that they're supposed to. And what I've learned, actually, just take a second, close your eyes, and just feel what's going on in your body. Just bear with me for 20 seconds. Just feel what's going on. So right now your body is healing. Your body's metabolizing, your body's detoxing, your body's absorbing nutrients. Your body might be getting drunk, and that's okay. But we are all very powerful at healing our own bodies, and our bodies want to live in a state of, it's called homeostasis at the school I went to, but it's just a fancy word for balance and healing. And that is the natural state of our bodies. And when I work with people, I try to remind them of that, or they remind me of that. One of the most powerful things I see is that I tend to attract people who, you know, either want help with nutrition or weight loss or whatever, but a lot of them have been to other people and not gotten anywhere. And so I get blessed to work with them, and there's always a component of having to give something up. And often it's bad habits. Sometimes it's improper food. But one of the things that I work with my clients is to help they envision what their life is like in a healed body. So if somebody comes to me with really bad arthritis, for example, one of the first appointments, their homework is to go home and journal, if they're willing to do this, not everybody is, journal about how it feels to be in a healed body, and write about it or speak about it to someone in the present moment, not like I will feel, but I do feel. I wake up and I have tons of energy. I can move freely. My flexibility is wonderful. I can touch my toes. I can get dressed. And it's very powerful, because telling the body that that is what's going on actually can change our cells. And there's a lot of work and science around that now that, here goes the leg, so I'm just hanging on. There's a lot of science about how healing, Bruce Lipton is one of the authors who talks a lot about our state of mind can dictate our health in a huge way. And the other thing that I notice with clients is that if there's a physical thing, which they usually present with, there's always an emotional thing in the background. And I have to be careful, because I'm not a therapist and I haven't been trained as one, and that's not my scope of practice. But they may be drawn to work with somebody like Sylvia, for example, or somebody else who can help them understand what is going on with EMDR or EFT or a Jungian therapist. I had a client, for example, who had really, really bad, by the way, holistic nutritionists love talking about poop and water. So I'll just give you that caveat right now, because just a disclaimer, because you hear a lot about it. This young lady had really bad irritable bowel. And irritable bowel is kind of like a garbage can term for something they don't know what's happening in the gut. And as a functional medicine practitioner, I help people heal their gut. Anyway, she didn't know why she was having explosive, here comes the poop stuff. We've had vomit, let's talk about poo. Well, we did have poo earlier, didn't we? Okay. Here it comes. Anyway, she had explosive diarrhea every 3 days. She traveled all over Ontario in a high-pressure job where she had to, get out and be dressed nicely and not smell like stuff, and do presentations to people. And she had to control this with Imodium. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to a tropical country and used Imodium, but one Imodium's usually good. She needed to take 8 to deal with this. And every 3 days, the same thing happened again and again and again and again. And so we talked a lot about changing her diet and gently maybe doing some probiotic food or, that kind of thing. But I knew, having had irritable bowel myself, that there's a huge stress component. And so she did a little bit of work with a therapist, and her healing really started when she owned the fact that she'd been sexually abused. And irritable bowel is a very, very common ailment of people who have had sexual abuse. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the healing that I see when it's successful, which it usually is, not always. Some people just leave and say, this is too much like hard work. I'm not going to do it. I'm not ready. And that's fine. It's totally fine. If they're not ready, they shouldn't stay. At any rate, when there's the connection of what the heart and mind and body have been through together and what a trauma could be, or an early life memory, or it's not always that, but there's usually an emotional component. I had another client who couldn't walk. She had psoriasis so bad on her feet that she literally, her feet bled when she walked. And her diet was actually pretty good, and she, was willing to take supplements and stuff. And we didn't really get in anywhere until she realized that she was afraid to move forward in her life. And when she accepted that, she still wasn't ready to move forward in life, but when she accepted that that was an issue for her, she started to heal. And she sends me pictures of her feet. I get pictures of poo and pictures of feet, among other things. But her feet are great. I love getting those because they're always clear, and she says, still rolling along, still dancing, still this and that. Healing is disruptive. If there isn't a disruption happening, usually the healing won't happen. And so there's a letting go. When people are detoxing, there's often they go in Marie Kondo their house like crazy. And I know that something's going on then, because when anybody know who Marie Kondo is, she's the Japanese lady who's really good at organization. I Marie Kondoed my drawers, and I had a friend over, and she said, "What is wrong with you?" All my underwear is really, like, I'm not like that normally, but anyway, I read the book, and it's beautiful. It's very organized. And when my drawers are organized, my brain is organized. And that's what my clients feel, is when they detox physically. They tend to detox emotionally, and sometimes relationships change. Sometimes they change jobs. And it's so powerful to see. I'm going to end on my healing story. There's a bunch of them, but I'll give you the most recent one. Here comes the leg story. So last March 3rd, I was dusting at my house, and I was standing on a stool that was about 12 inches off the ground. Didn't realize the stool had a bum leg. And so, okay, the moral of the story is, ladies, men, gentlemen, you don't have to dust anymore. Please don't. It's dangerous. Anyway, I was leaning over with my little dusty thing, and the stool leg gave out. You know where this is going. And so it flipped up, and I crashed against the stool. So this part of my leg. So my tibial plateau, I didn't know what that was before. I knew what a tibia was, but I didn't know there's a tibial plateau, even from anatomy. Got all smushed. My femur drove into it, and it crashed like throwing down a cup and saucer. I've had 2 kids, and one of my children was 36 hours of back labor. And all due respect to anyone who's ever had a baby or a kidney stone, because I hear they're about the same pain, I think this pain was worse for me. I wanted to pass out. Anyway, it ended up that I had surgery to try to fix it, and it's still not fixed, so I have 2 more surgeries to go. But I'm very grateful that I didn't hit my head and have a bleed and die, because that could very easily have happened. And I came home totally incapacitated, except the fact that I had enough strength to get up and go to the washroom, so I didn't have nursing care. But I did have friends. I called out to my friends, and they came and they brought me food, and they walked my dogs, and I couldn't leave the apartment. And this healing story is that I'm so glad that that accident happened, because I know now how very, very loved I am and how blessed I am. And part of that is chatting with you folks. Thank you so much for asking me to be here, and thanks for listening.